Periods. Let's talk about them. I was trying to stay serious, it just didn't work. Me and the word serious do not go well together. I don't know if you've noticed that yet. But, so I'm back with another story time, and it's about periods. No shit. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm bulk recording these and I'm enjoying recording them, but this is literally my only coping mechanism right now, is just endlessly bulk recording story times, because I have no internet. I still have no internet. So I'm talking to myself until I eventually am talking to you guys when you see this. And I'm just rambling and being an idiot. But we pay for like top end internet. We don't have internet. I want internet. And I understand that it's like COVID and obviously like everybody's on the internet, so like you can't really, you know, it's got to give or take somewhere. If everybody's on it, then it's going to be slower / non-existent. But like where it's my like only coping mechanism, I'm finding it very difficult. But yeah, anyway, that's not what I was here to talk about. So my first period was on my 13th birthday. And it was in the evening and I didn't know what it was, so I told my mum about it, and then she was like, oh my god, you're becoming a woman, and I was like, yay, because I just didn't want it. I didn't want it. I could pass it on to someone else. But yeah, I was always scared to have my first period. I was always thinking, the later I get it, the better. I really don't care whether I have a period or not. I ain't about that life. But yeah, it came on my 13th birthday. That's when it decided to visit. And so I just go upstairs, and like the first few periods were fine. Obviously they were painful, and it was a new type of cramp that I'd never experienced before, but it was still bearable, it was tolerable, I could live with it, I could distract myself from it and like ease the symptoms. I noticed that as time went on, it became more and more painful, and I still didn't know what a normal period was yet, because it kept getting gradually worse, so I didn't know when was this supposed to be like the highest amount of pain it was going to be, you know, like I didn't know what the normal average like period was, so I just assumed it was normal. Like if I said, oh yeah, I feel like this was something wrong, that would have been an over dramatization, but I just thought it was normal. And when I was younger, my mum, she was trying to do the right thing by me, obviously, because painkillers are bad for like your organs. So she did try to use other methods like hot water bottles and stuff first, before using painkillers, and that was fine at first. But as time went on, it was getting progressively harder. I could not manage with a period without painkillers at all. I was in so much pain, I was crying, I couldn't move, I'd have to prop my legs up, but yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, it was a school day. I can't remember like what time of year this was, but yeah, it was a school day. And all I know is I woke up, I'd started my period, and I felt so unbelievably sick. Like, I could not explain the nausea to you guys. It felt worse than like you know, like those like stomach bugs, like the 24 to 48 hour stomach bugs, like the norovirus. This felt worse than that. But yeah, so I woke up, I was scared to move. I thought that I was just gonna vomit by moving, but I slowly like shifted my way out of the bed. I came downstairs and I just said to Mum, I feel so sick. I said to her, obviously I was still going to try and go to school anyway. It could just be like, because I don't know why, but like it was quite common for me most mornings, like still now, I wake up and feel sick. Like every morning I will wake up and feel sick, I don't know why. So I just thought maybe it was just a bit worse than usual today, like a bit more nausea than usual. And I didn't want to eat breakfast, but my mum, she's the best mum, she obviously wanted me to eat breakfast before going to school, because it was a winter day at this point, and she was like, well, can you just try and have a bit of toast before you go? And I was like, oh, I don't know, like I feel really sick. And she said, you need to eat something before you go to school, because it's a long day and it's cold and you need something in your body. And I was like, okay. So I ate this toast. On the car ride, I felt even worse. I can't remember, did I take painkillers before I went to school? I feel like I did, but the pain was surpassing the painkillers. It wasn't kicking in. And so I was on my way to school, and the car ride, the bumpy car ride, made me feel even worse. I got to school and I thought, right, if I just go into a calm environment, I'll pop in the library because school hasn't started yet. I'll just pop in the library and I can just pop my head down on the desk and I'll be fine. So that's what I do. I go into the library, and I pop one of my legs on top of the other leg, like I cross it over, because like if I'm hunched up it helped my cramps, I don't know why, and I just rested my head on the desk and I was just trying to control my breathing because I felt so sick. And the librarian came over to me and she was like, "Are you alright? You look so ill." I was like, "Yeah, I know." And then like I stood up. I felt like I was going to be sick, like right there and then. If I didn't leave the library, I'd puke on their floor. So I rushed out of the library and I just went to pick up my bag, which was like a fatal mistake for me. Like we have like a little bag room, like a little cubby, like we could put our bags into little cubbies, and then like we could just go into the library. I went to collect my bag from in the cubby. Kim had just walked in at this point. She was like, "Oh, hey Summer, how are you doing?" And then she was like, "Summer?" And like I was like, "No, stay back please." And like I puke all over the bag room floor. She was like, "Summer, are you alright?" And like I wasn't alright. It wasn't nice. And I don't know how that much came out of me when I only had toast for breakfast. That's all I'm gonna say. And then I made it out. Like Kim ended up taking me out, and before I could even get out of like the library toilets are like maybe 10-15 steps away from like this bag room. It isn't that far at all. And before I could even make it out there properly, I had to dart to the toilet to be sick again. And then halfway, because Kim ended up taking me all the way down to Matron because it was on the other side of the school from where I was. But she ended up taking me down, and halfway down there, I felt sick again. And then halfway like down, I ended up puking again. Got to Matron. She was like, "Summer, what's up? You look really pale." I was like, "Yeah, I've just been sick 3 times. My period is bad. It hurts. And I just broke down crying. And she was like, "It's okay. Every woman goes through it. It's going to be fine. Stop over exaggerating, because if you cry, it'll make it worse." I was like, "Try telling that to my fucking cramps." But yeah. Obviously they couldn't do anything for me because I'd already taken painkillers before I came into school, so it's not like they could phone my parents and ask for permission to give me painkillers because I'd already taken them. So at this point there was really nothing they could do for me, and where I've been sick, they no matter like what you're sick of, even if it isn't a bug, if it's stress or whatever, they can't take the chance, because if it was a bug you'd have to go home. So she ends up calling my mum and dad. I end up waiting in the staff room. I just laid out on like one of these couches in the staff room, and I wanted to like get on with my day. I was ready and raring to like go to school, like, because I don't like taking time off if I can help it, you know. I ain't about that life. So like I was ready to go. Like I like school. I like seeing all my friends. And like I ended up having to go home, and then I went like straight up. I ended up taking an anti-inflammatory as well. I think it was like Nurofen, because I'd had some paracetamol that morning, which only helps with the pain. It doesn't help with like swelling. So I took some Nurofen, which you can take at the same time as paracetamol, and that did start to kick in, but it literally only took the edge off. When I'm telling you, I was still in so much pain and nothing was working. I was trying like hot water bottles, I was trying like propping my legs up like a weirdo, and I was trying like deep breathing, and nothing was working. Like I would try sleeping it off, I couldn't get to sleep. Like if I sat up, I felt like puking again. it was terrible. I couldn't do anything, and then I was rushing in and out of toilet as well because, FYI boys, girls get period poop. That's a thing, okay? So I'm liquid arsing everywhere as well, while trying to like find like a comfortable position, and I end up just sat on the toilet crying because the toilet holds the magical powers to somehow making your period cramps feel a little bit better. I don't know why. And then I had a bunk bed, so I was on the bottom bunk, and I ended up popping a pillow up against the wall, resting my back against that, and I propped my feet up on the second rung of the ladder, and that was what helped. I stayed completely still. I didn't move. I focused on my breathing, and I noticed that if I hyperfixated on one spot, like the very top corner of like, I think it was like to the right in my bedroom, I don't know why, but like unless I was hyperfixating on the top right corner of my room, the ceiling, and focusing on my breathing with my legs propped up on the second rung of the ladder, it didn't work. But I did that. I did feel a bit better, but when I say that, I don't know what it was. Before I went on birth control, because I went on birth control at 16 or 17, 16. But before taking birth control, my periods were a nightmare. Like, they were so heavy and so painful. Like, I could not cope. Every period was like that. And it was just so difficult. I couldn't eat anything either. Like, just the sight of food made me ill. Until my pain went away, I couldn't eat. So like, I'd have to wait for painkillers to kick in before I could have my lunch. My mum was a sweetheart. She used to wrap up my lunch and pop it in the fridge, and then like, I came down for it like 3 hours late, and like, I'd just grab it out of the fridge and unwrap it, and I'd have my lunch. And she's like, "Are you feeling any better?" I was like, "Not really." And she'd just give me a big hug. But yeah, it was terrible. But yeah, so, but then I went on birth control. I got the implant, you know, like the little bar that they put in your arm. I think that's good for 2 years. I ended up taking it out a little bit early, because I noticed that while I was on it, my mood swings were, personally, this isn't the same for everybody, so don't let me put you off of birth control, but for some people it can affect like pre-existing mental health conditions. So I got a really itchy nose. I'm fine, and then I start recording and my nose itches like a bitch. But yeah, but it made me feel so much more depressed, and like, I don't know what it was, but like, this is a proven fact anyway, but when you're on birth control, your sex drive, it plummets, and so that was a thing too, and I felt terrible. I didn't feel like a woman. I felt depressed all the time, 24/7. I ended up gaining even more weight and bloating because of it, because that's another side effect. And it wasn't worth it for me. I was getting so bad breakouts as well, which I hadn't had since school. Because at that point, at 16, I ended up moving in with now my ex's grandparents. And I still live with his grandparents, even though he doesn't live here anymore. But yeah, and I'm obviously not on birth control now. I came off of it at 17, was it 17 or 18? I think it was early 18 actually, that I came off of it, because I was on it for, no, it was 17. Yeah, 17, almost 18, sorry about that, I had to think about that then. But yeah, and I've not been on any form of birth control since, because I'm, you know, not sexually active as of current. COVID is a thing. But my periods still haven't returned to the way they were then. So I don't know if it's because they were just trying to regulate themselves, and then because of the birth control, it knocked my periods completely out. Because when I was on birth control, I didn't have periods for 3 months at a time, and then when I did, I'd have 2 in 1 month. It was weird. But like, even when I had 2 in 1 month, they were so light and they were barely painful. Like, maybe like the first half, like the half of the first day was painful, but painkillers actually dealt with it. Like, so I don't know, it was crazy. I think that was the only pro for me taking birth control, was the fact that it helped the pain of my periods, and that was literally it. But yeah, it was difficult. But now, like, it's still hella painful. It's really painful again, but like I don't have most of the other symptoms like nausea, but now I'm noticing symptoms in other ways, but I won't go into like details and all that because I've already given you a lot of like details as it is. But yeah, so I don't know if it was just my periods trying to regulate. I don't know if there was genuinely something wrong and the birth control whacked it out. I don't know, but if I just want to like give you girls advice, because I didn't do this because I didn't really think there was a problem, because I didn't know what was normal, what isn't. But yeah, if you are having periods that are interfering with your everyday life and you're feeling the way that I felt, go see a doctor, because maybe, I don't know if there was something wrong with me. I don't know if there still is something wrong with me, but if there is something wrong, then it's worth getting it checked, because it could be some sort of condition. It could be like endometriosis or something like that. If you don't know what that is, then Google it. I find it difficult to explain, but yeah, I don't know, it's difficult, because I know people that have endometriosis and they really do suffer from it, bless them. So yeah, but yeah, go check it out with a doctor if it is interfering with your day-to-day life, and if you're feeling that bad, because I don't know, everybody has told me personally that a period should never have felt that bad, so I'm taking that advice on board and I'm passing it over to you. I'm passing the torch on. So I hope you enjoyed this story time. I know it's a little bit different, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed it nevertheless, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.